Hello, everybody. Welcome and thank you for tuning in to Just Bleed Radio. Today is Sunday, the 23rd of June, 2024, and this is the Weekend Roundup. Hey up, you bleeders. Welcome to Weekend Roundup, hosted by all of us favourite, the Counter Casuals. It's Dangermouse. Aye, from right round Sheffield area. I've told you that's where Manor House is, haven't I? Alright, enough of that. Time to get on with show. Now, I couldn't have asked for a better pair of co-hosts, or so I've been told. They're all the way from across water, on the other side of the pond. One's from California, and t'other one's from Ohio. One calls himself No Special. Well, if there's no special about him, why do we bloody have him here, eh? And t'other one's Lazybed. Get yourself up, lad, you lazy bastard. It's time for a bloody show. Aye, that's better. Now, make yourselves known, lads. Say hey up to listeners.
What's up, guys? Great intro.
What? Yeah, what he said.
I did kind of hint to Dave he might have a use for subtitles at some point in this show. That means make yourselves known, lads. Say hello to the listeners, or A up. This all came from Too Much BHP, who asked me to say A up to all the listeners. So thanks Too Much BHP for that intro.
I was gonna say I think there's at least one person that's gonna understand that perfectly clear.
Yeah, I was like, is he? This is some local talk. I like it. I like where we're going with this. Also, it's great weekend. Super nice. I went swimming with the family yesterday. Been a busy week so far. So work and whatnot here with the kids during the summertime. So it's nice out. Enjoyed the fights for sure. I had to come back and tell everybody not to say shit before I could watch them because I missed them, like half of the main card. So I had to come back and watch it. It was great. Great all around.
I gotta say, Tua on your chihuahuas, I'm doing absolutely great. There's very few things in life better than waking up the morning after Johnny Walker gets turned into a meme once again. I'm all jacked up in caffeine and nicotine, so let's fucking do this.
Right, time for the first fight. It was main event between Bobby Whittaker and Aliskerov, where Aussie lad put Ikram's lights out as if he were a bloody candle. And okay, that's it. I'm back to normal speech now. I can't do a whole fight like that.
That was a good attempt.
As I said, Too Much BHP asked for an AA up. So back to life, back to reality with this one right now. Robert Whittaker took on late replacement Ikram Aliskerov in the main event for UFC Saudi Arabia in Riyadh, where Bobby Whittaker put on. The Reaper lived up to his name. He put on an amazing performance, took out Ikram Aliskerov in, I think, less than 90 seconds, and just put a stamp on how good he actually is. And before I let Austin in, I'm going to say I did at least stick to the legally binding agreement here. I did actually massively want to change to Robert Whittaker on the picks, but I didn't. I stuck it out. It's probably the last time I'm going to do it, and you brought this on yourself, Austin. My disbelief in Robert Whittaker for this one. And there's also some other stuff I could bring up there, but I won't because I've yammered on quite enough right for now. So I'll let Austin take this one away because I know he's our number one Bobby Whittaker fan.
Doubt him now. Doubt my boy Robert Whittaker now. Yes, he technically wasn't a ranked middleweight, but or if he was out at the bottom of everybody's top 15. Not the guy you would think that deserved this position. It was pretty much by circumstance, and there was a lot of chatter about Bobby Knuckles being chinny, about Bobby Knuckles not being great against guys who are also great counters, grapplers, and guys who hit hard usually tend to kind of put Bobby on the back foot. And that wasn't the case at all. Bobby Knuckles essentially put the work in on a guy who, mind you, might not deserve to be there now, but might be a guy who we look at later and is possibly a greater middleweight. But goddamn, dude, like the fact that there was even doubt for Whittaker in this fight just goes to show people are like overlooking him and thinking like, oh, he's over the hill, he's done, he's chinny. No, fuck you guys. If you chose him, fuck you, fuck your mom, fuck your dad, fuck your family, fuck you. Okay? Robert Whittaker's here to stay. He's gonna come back for that fucking belt. That's who he is. That's the #1 fucking middleweight right now in this division. And on top of it, he looked great. You can argue he even did more damage to himself in this fight with the chest pounding that he did. But man, did he look great. He timed that low kick and just planted a big ass right hand on him. And then he tried to get him with a head kick and he got it chucked over his shoulder. And he just landed this beautiful uppercut. And my God, like that's the Whittaker I know. Yes, it's a lesser opponent, but like, come on. Nobody's backing away from watching Robert Whittaker fight being disappointed. Come on. What are we doing?
No, sir.
I'm done.
All right. So my synopsis here is, if you want to boil it down, Bobby Knox is still the fucking benchmark for title contenders at middleweight. Like, that dude came out there and fucking proved last night that he is the high water line for true title contenders in this division, because Aliskerov, a very fucking hyped product. A lot of people riding high on this guy. A lot of the so-called sharps around the betting fucking MMA sphere riding high on Aliskerov. And what did fucking Bobby Whittaker do last night? He went in there and he fucking did the opposite of what so many people thought was going to go down. Just a fucking fantastic show. And like you were saying, Austin, whether you're a fan or not, you got to sit back and you got to marvel at the guy, the amount of time he's spent in the UFC, the resume that he's accumulated. Just fucking fantastic, dude. Sucks for Aliskerov, cutting weight for Tricoli, traveling to Saudi, finishing a fucking camp and a weight cut there. Not the best circumstances if you're him. So props to him for stepping in and taking this fight, taking this opportunity. But all the things that I said in the previous show about the lights being too bright likely fucking proved true. I think the moment was just too big for the fella, and he didn't know. It was like almost as though he was fucking lost, and he just didn't. His game plan went out the window, and Bobby was making those reads quick as can be, and it was lights out. I think the obvious move, as I said, a bunch of different places, including the Discord last night, Strickland versus Whittaker co-main at 305 in Perth, under the Izzy versus DDP main event. It's the perfect fucking answer. You got your built-in replacements right there in case somebody falls off out of the two fights.
I believe Dana's already said that Whittaker will be the standing the reserve for the Perth event.
That could work too. But coming off this fight with, he doesn't have a scratch on him. I would like to see him slotted into a co-main.
Same with Strickland. Like, what are we gonna do? We're gonna have a match between Israel and Dracus du Plessis. If it goes the distance, neither of them are going to be available to fight later on. I imagine both men are going to be itching to get back in there to establish themselves as #1. They both fought Costa, and yes, it had different results with it. Whittaker at least has a secondary win. Sean Strickland is coming off of a title loss to Dracus in a very contentious fight. He beat Costa that didn't want to fight. He beat a Costa that was actually backpedaling majority of the fight and didn't suffer any issues for himself. I would say we have two guys who are like pretty much #1 contenders right now. I would say the easiest thing to do, make them fight each other.
Yeah, I mean, it makes perfect sense to me. And then the last thing I wanted to throw in here is just that Aliskerov, he could rebound from this. Obviously the guy's young and he still doesn't have a terrible record, and losing to Whittaker is really no skin off your back.
Young though, is he? He's 31. I think everyone thought he was younger than he actually
30 or 31. 30 or 31, but it's middleweight. You can have a secondary career after 30. So it's not like, plus he's relatively young in the division. It's like, it'd be different if he had like 10 fights or 15. He's only got 3 fights, and this was his 3rd fight.
He's been a pro since he was 19 years old, I believe I heard.
It's not the same when you're fighting elite on the regular basis. Like at least you could say Khamzat has been fighting very high level competition. Ikram hasn't been there fighting the high level competition on a regular basis as of yet.
I think the real knock on Aliskerov, though, is looking to be his durability and taking a shot, because it seems like if you connect with that guy's chin, he's going down.
I wanted to ask you guys that I haven't seen Ikram versus Khamzat. Was that this similar style of uppercut, like in a similar situation
absolutely.
to when they fought?
Yeah, absolutely. Khamzat caught him with an uppercut, smacked his mouthpiece out when he hit him, sent it flying across the cage, and he just crumpled. I think Khamzat might have landed one or two more shots afterwards, but it was on an unconscious opponent.
I mean, he did catch him early on with a right hand, that leaping right hand, and he wobbled him, hurt him against, he landed a couple extra strikes in between that, and then I'm imagining he is susceptible to an uppercut against the cage because his first reaction was to shell up. I don't know. Maybe I'm just overthinking it, but that might be an issue that he has with the top echelon of the division. But it's also a week's notice too. So
yeah, a lot of technicalities surrounding it that make it to where you can't exactly can't write the guy off just yet.
No, you should.
I was going to say they made a huge issue of Tricoli making weight on 2 weeks' notice, flying from wherever he was, and then I didn't hear anything much about
the same for Ikram.
Yeah,
I think it's because he's also a much bigger middleweight too. So like Ikram and Whittaker aren't exactly giant human beings,
That's true.
Yes,
but Tricoli's like 6'4", I think.
Is he?
Yeah,
he did look a big.
Yeah, he's not a small man.
Yeah.
And then you got Ikram, who's only like 6 foot. And I don't know if you guys seen that picture of him standing next to Islam and Khabib, and he's like pretty much the same exact size, and he's fighting at fucking middleweight. So like,
yeah, that was bad. All right, I think we should move on to the co-main now. Another moment of glory for our good friend Austin here, because he was the only one of us who picked the winner of this fight. Alexander Volkov defeated Sergey Pavlovich by unanimous decision. Just one judge gave it 29-28. The other two gave it 30-27, which was perfectly fine because Volkov put on a scoring clinic after, I don't know. I think Volkov's face was messed up by the end of round one. He was bleeding from the nose, and then that was it pretty much. He did get to throw a few swings, but I don't think he landed with anything even vaguely on any serious level. So yeah, again, as like I said, I'm going to pass this to Austin so he can gloat a little bit. I'll take it away, Austin.
You know what? Here's my thing. My whole thought process on this one was, when you have two guys that have been in the gym training on for a minute, I don't know how long they're exactly training for, but when you're heavyweight, it's hard to find guys that are good partners, and it's hard to find guys that are partners that you can train with on a regular basis that you're also not going to fight. So I imagine my thought process on this one was, these guys have fought in the gym, not to an extreme level, but enough to where they know each other's, buttons. They know each other's little quirks. They know each other's little things that trigger certain reactions, their feints, their thought processes on how each of them kind of fights. Generally speaking, they have a blueprints on what the other basically does on pretty much any given basis, right? Volkov has fought the better in the elite on a regular basis, on a consistent basis, and is a former Bellator champion. Pavlovich has not. And Pavlovich had a run, and initially he looked pretty good. Plus, now we also had, similarly to one of the fights that we're going to talk about later, this fight had something different going into it. Animosity, which I did not believe was going to be a thing that was going to play out in this, but apparently it was. And Dave had mentioned it, Lazy as well as Mouse. You guys kind of these guys kind of seem, adamant about certain aspects of their relationship as training partners and possibly as friends, and now that's all out the window. So especially with that shove at the end of the fight, basically signifying, these are falling out friends, and someone got their emotions hurt in the process of this fight, and basically Volkov played that to a T. And I'm going to say Volkov used his veteran savvy and his willingness to kind of use his length finally, because he's not a guy who tends to do that very often. But when he does, damn, does he look good doing it. Pavlovich kind of played into it for some reason. And when Pavlovich landed, he had a hard time consistently keeping that, pressure. He would land one and then kind of miss on the other couple punches and then give up on it. And then Volkov would come back with like a good hard right and a combination and then just kind of follow it up with a kick. Like he kept him at range and Volkov was basically controlling the entirety of the fight. You can't ask for a better game plan against a guy who's got a death touch, And good for Volkov. Good for Volkov. That's 5-fight winning streak, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. So good for him. The man has done his job and is back into the top 5 of the contendership of this division. I believe he should be next in line after whatever happens with the heavyweight division, which might take another 2 years because of this stupid bullshit John Jones, Dana White thing.
I so hope not.
I just would say, like, I got the damn wool pulled over my eyes in this fight. I got bamboozled. I did not fucking... I was tricked by Sergey Pavlovich's power and also by what you just mentioned, Austin. Since when does fucking Volkov fight like he's tall? This dude's fucking 6'7" and he almost never fights tall. Last night he did. I didn't fucking see that coming. And also I think that the talk from Volkov pre-fight about Pavlovich getting the best of him in the gym when they were sparring, I think that was actually some gamesmanship. I think he was fucking tricking all of us. I think, if anything, he actually probably got the better of Pavlovich when they were sparring in the gym. And I think that he was being coy about the whole thing and fucking keeping it secret. And I think if anybody knew how this fight was going to go down, it was fucking Alexander Volkov. You can't tell me that dude wasn't fucking confident in how this was going to go when he's getting his fucking hair combed in between rounds. Like, are you fucking kidding me? Your corner brings a comb? When do they bring a comb in the fucking cage? But yeah, fuck. Russian Civil War Heavyweight Edition. That was my tagline on this one. I'm kicking myself here for not seeing this coming and not siding with Austin on the preview show, because it seems pretty obvious looking back that Volkov could have done this. But as I said, I was mesmerized by Pavlovich's power. I thought he was going to bulldoze him. I thought he was going to find a way to get in there and touch that chin, and it was going to be lights out and game over. But like I was saying, if I'm Volkov's coaches, I'm thinking, gee, look what happens when you fight like you're actually fucking 6'7". I mean, come on, dude. You kept the fight at range the whole time, and you pieced him up. The shove from Sergey afterwards, if anything, that just shows you that the UFC created some enemies of friends here. These guys supposedly didn't want to fight each other. There's a video of them at the weigh-ins or the ceremonial weigh-ins and the face-off, and they're questioning each other on who signed the contract first. Just fucking crazy. So yeah, friends turn enemies, but tough luck for Pav in this one, losing 2 in a row after looking like a world eater since his Overeem loss back in the day when he entered the UFC. But yeah, two tough losses in a row for him. But fucking good on Volkov, man. Like, you ain't no spring chicken, and you're still proving yourself to be a top talent in this, not so great heavyweight division. But yeah, fucking good shit from Drago.
Real quick, I did think of 2 things on this one. One, this just proves longevity in the heavyweight division is a real thing, right? Yeah. 2, Pavlovich just literally needs to get refreshed on opponents. This is an emotional Pavlovich. That's what I got from this. He fought like an emotional heavyweight who was in his own head about certain things because he was not pressing. He was just kind of accepting the range battle. And as Volkov, like Lazy was saying, he pretty much just played this to a T, and he played a lot of things into it, and he just allowed the fight to play out naturally, almost like as if this was a sparring session for him, which was great. Get the win whenever you can. Pavlovich just needs to fight guys outside of the top 15 right now. Give him 3 names, guaranteed he'll knock all 3 of them out. And then once he gets those wins together, he'll be back inside of the top 10. And honestly, I mean, he's not going to lose a ranking for me, but I wish the UFC would do a thing where, Lazy had mentioned something in the chat, but we'll wait for that one when we get to it. Essentially, allow these guys who are, we don't want them to go on 4-fight losing streaks. Instead, just, in this situation for Pavlovich, a guy who contended for the interim title, give him lower level ranking fighters. Give him somebody he can knock out. Give him somebody he can go up against and just be a co-main event at the Apex or be a co-main event on the at a headliner for a some kind of road show. He's a feature fight on the pay-per-view or some shit. He's a name. Just give him a name. Just give him a name. Pavlovich is a guy you want to keep invested in. Keep the fans invested more or less. Volkov is there. He's got a limited reach. He's going to be who he is, and he's deserving of a title opportunity at some point. I don't believe he should have to fight again, but that's not going to be usually the case. Keep us interested in guys. Don't allow them to go on ridiculous losing streaks. This is a pattern the UFC doesn't. What do you mean?
Has Volkov already fought Gan?
Yes, he has. And that was a very close, contentious. I thought it was close. In my opinion, I thought that fight was close. If you watch it back, Gan actually gets hit in the face a lot more than any other fights that he's had in that fight. He actually has a bloody nose and actually gets touched a couple of times with the jab, with a right hand. He absorbs a couple of body kicks as well. I thought that fight was great. If you want to, that's a fight you can do for Volkov. It'd be a rematch, but two guys who have essentially fought the elite level talent in this division. Why not?
Okay, I take it we're done with that.
There's probably more we could add, but is it really worth it?
Yeah, until John Jones sorts himself out.
This is the problem with heavyweight. Fucking John Jones.
The only one last thing that I will add to this is if you're a UFC matchmaker and you have somebody that in the heavyweight division that you would like to see make their way into title contention or maybe fight for a title someday, don't put him against Volkov, because if the dude proves anything, is he's not the guy that you want to try to feed to people you're looking to push to the top, because he will beat those guys.
Okay.
100%.
All right then. Shara Bullet versus Antonio Troccoli. He defeats him by KO strikes, 2 minutes 27 of round 3. Yeah, this was Troccoli, as I was mentioning very briefly there. Apparently he was phoned up. He said yes to 205 pounds and yes to 185 pounds. Hopped on a plane, arrived in Saudi at 1 a.m. in the morning, and then weighed in the next morning. So absolute pro. But as we just said, Ikram Aliskerov had to do the same thing as well. Kind of funny. We don't have a horse in this race. Sorry, my mind is not working today. Because of course, when we recorded the show, Troccoli wasn't the opponent that Bullet was going to face. None of us can be right or wrong in this one. That's one fortunate thing. I think I did say whoever it was he was supposed to be fighting needed to get in close, make it a bit more of a grappling match. The Bullet's grappling is a bit underrated, but he proved it was pretty good in this one. But after the second round, it was pretty obvious where this fight was going to go. It was round 2 where we had the fence grab, which clearly stopped Bullet being hit in the ground. It was going to go down. And then Mark Goddard made an absolutely awful refereeing decision, in my opinion. And I am a fan of Mark Goddard normally. And we also had the other fight, which was, tell me, Lazy, who was it?
Gagiasula versus Brunson Habero.
Thank you. Yeah, and we had the Herzog dealt with the fence grab in a completely different way. I kind of liked Herzog's obviously far more than Mark Goddard's. Goddard should clearly have taken a point if he wasn't going to give position away. I guess Big John will be yapping about this on weighing in either tonight or tomorrow. So yeah, literally on my notes it was like, "Oh Mark, what did you just do?" He's going to get going to get roasted. I presume he's being roasted at the moment. But
yeah.
After the second round, Shara was just using that guy for target practice. And then at one point, properly did attempt, I think it was it was definitely his final attempt at a takedown. He dived in. Shara just brought the knee up, sent the sweat flying, didn't knock him out or anything, but pursued him across the cage and pounded the hell out of him. I think he caught him in with a left hook, and that sent him to the floor. And then Goddard stepped over and saved him from any further punishment. A nice performance for Shara, I guess. He did prove his takedown defense was decent. I don't think he didn't get taken down at all, I don't believe. So yeah, a decent enough performance, but a bit of a sacrificial lamb, I would say. I did wonder about that, and yeah, I'll let one of you jump in on this one.
Yeah, I'll go. First thing first, shout out to Super Dave, who said it just prior to the fight. I'm paraphrasing here. Shara Bullet, not really all that. And after watching this one, I think he was right. I mean, how do you not finish a guy? How do you not finish a guy who's literally standing in front of you like a heavy bag sooner than when he did? Like the entirety of the second round and the third round, Tricoli was literally just fucking standing there, like not throwing, not defending. I mean, it was absurd. Like, and I get it due to circumstances, but I mean, if you're Shara Bullet and you're supposed to be this fucking just dynamic, striking magnamo, like you're the fucking pirate of the fucking octagon, and you knock out anyone. You're this nasty motherfucker. You're the Bullet, and then you can't even take this dude out, and he's literally standing in front of you, just absorbing shots until whatever point he did in the third round. I don't have it in front of me, but
halfway through.
Yeah, I mean, so you got to show me a little bit more than that, Shara Bullet. But yeah, for Tricoli, I mean, like you were saying, DM, a victim of a similar fate to Aliskerov, training and cutting weight for one fight, getting swapped into another one all the way across the world, forced to finish the cut in Saudi. And I think they said, like, because his was even more last minute, he legit finished this cut on, like, 48 hours notice or some shit, like maybe even less than that. So, I mean, tough for him. But Shara Bullet Magomedov, a limited commodity with a skill set and his medical restrictions that he has. So, he can only fight in the Middle East, as far as I know. Like, they won't accept him or clear him to fight in the States with his eye. So, I mean, that really puts a limit on you there. And then as far as the fucking refs go, like, Herzog and Goddard, in my opinion, they hopefully had a sit down after the show was over and they went over how to make their calls a little bit more uniform. Because, like, I get, some discrepancies in how they're going to officiate these fights, but that was a fucking catastrophe on the part of Mark Goddard, especially after Herzog being so hair-triggered earlier in the night. Like, you can't have that wide of a gap in how you're going to officiate these fights, so. No. I don't want to bash them too much because they are two of the best refs going, but questionable fucking decision making lately, big time.
The fight has been waved off. What's going on? Mark Goddard waves it off.
I actually put in my notes because at the start of round 3, they both came out and hugged each other, and that was obviously just after the fence grab. And I said Tricoli should have just done a judo throw straight there. Fuck sportsmanship, just pound him into the mat, and try and finish him.
He probably could have done it too.
Would have been fucking hilarious if he'd have done that.
Would not have been mad about it.
I mean, he could have easily done it. I mean, it would be interesting. He probably could have finished it had he not been just completely gassed, I think. I'll address the fence grab first. Herzog's situation was more of like a response to the hometown guy. I'm not going to say he's the hometown guy, but he's, he was pretty close to it against Regison Ribeiro. I can't remember how he says his first name, but Ribeiro pretty much was like, I'm trying to take you down, bro. And he grabs the fence And he looks at the ref as if, what do you mean this is not illegal? And for Herzog's first reaction was just call time, which is, I'm like, okay, I want to see how this works out. Is he going to take a point? Is he going to have them pause? Is he going to warn him? Is he just going to reward him as he gives the match back to the fighters? No, he basically said, I'm not going to take a point. I'm going to reward the guy that got the takedown by giving him the position. He's not interrupting the flow of the fight because, by definition, the fighter who grabs the fence is interrupting the flow of the fight. And Herzog is not afraid to interject himself into these fights. As we've seen prior, for better or for worse, sometimes he kind of takes matters into his own hands, which is something I like, because if you're going to discipline these fighters who choose to break the rules, you might as well discipline them accordingly. Some fighters will, play with it a little bit and, see what they could get away with and kind of, he's going to be watching for that. I should probably kind of play it safe. In this case, this was accidental, like more or less like I didn't want to go down. It's a first reaction. He's probably thinking, all right, well, I'm probably going to get a warning for it. I'm going to just brace, and he grabs it and he pulls on it. And it's like obvious. It's not a question. Shara Bullet pretty much grabs the fence and prevents a leg trip takedown. And Mark Goddard immediately tells him, don't do that. And instead of taking a point or even returning Bullet to the mat, where he was going to be, where Tricoli was going to have at least some momentum.
He didn't even give out a hard warning.
No. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He's like, he didn't even do any of that. He just said, all right. And he just kind of let it play out. My opinion, I think he had a brain fart moment, because he's like, I can take this point away and the crowd is going to attack me, or I'm going to have an issue getting a license to fight here, to referee here again with this commission, which is insane to think about, because the UFC is the one that takes the commission, or they are the commission more or less wherever they go overseas that doesn't have a commission. So it's interesting to think that Mark Goddard probably just got, you know what? I think he got a little bit of that. Oh shit! I probably could have done that, but I'm not going to try to do that. It's too late now. Like once he actually, you could see on his face, once he actually thought about it, it was like, God damn it! I fucked up. Because I don't believe he did it on purpose. I think he just legit like, fuck. It is what it is. Just let it go. It sucks because that affected the fight, and Tricoli really had no other options, no offense, no nothing. And Bullet was literally just kind of like, all right, well, he's not going to come at me. I'm just going to go ahead, pop, 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 hit it from the outside. Whereas, Herzog is like, no nonsense. He's the new no nonsense. Keith Peterson this is the real no nonsense Jason Herzog. Man, yeah. I think he's a court. What is he doing as a real job? He is a real job. He's like a court recorder or some shit. Is he? Am I mistaking that?
That sounds about right, because he's playing it by the letter of the law.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. I am more in favor of refs interjecting themselves in the fight when a fighter is committing a foul. By definition, you are not interrupting the fight. The fight is already interrupted. As someone like Herdim, who will just kind of let the fight play out and not actually tell anybody to do anything different. And if he does, he's usually doing it on behalf of the promotion or the fans, which is not how you're supposed to ref a fucking fight. You're supposed to be the man in charge and tell the fighters, hey, obey the rules or I'm going to punish you for it. Yeah. Herzog is actually stepping up to the plate, and I appreciate that. As far as the fight goes, Bullet is not that guy. Honestly, just put him against Kazat. Who gives a fuck at this point? Either one of them can fight, and they could both be stuck here in this region, and they're never going to fight in the U.S. Or they're just going to be here constantly on the possibly on the same card on a regular basis in the same division and not fight each other. And that seems just insane to me. Why not just put them both against each other? Neither of them should be ranked. Right? Bullet isn't ranked at this point. He's only had 2 fights in the UFC, and Khamzat wasn't ranked, shouldn't be ranked, and should never be ranked if he can't get out of the goddamn Middle East and be healthy enough to make fight night. I'm sorry. It's harsh. This is a harsh business. I'm sorry. You put them against each other. Why not? Who cares? Who gives a fuck?
Stick them against each other over there in the Middle East, and maybe they could find Johnny Walker roaming around the desert over there somewhere.
That's fair. That's fair.
That's a nice segue there, Lazy. Because
Yeah.
that was the next subject, Lazy's moment of glory. Because you were the only one again of us that picked Volkan Ozdemir. His KO of Johnny Walker at 2 minutes 28 of round one was just epic. Yeah, as I was writing at the time, I was why the fuck did I pick Walker? And that was all that was all that was going through my head. Which, admittedly, better than being Ozdemir's right fist. He showed absolutely no mercy to the fallen Walker. He blasted home another right hook that truly sent Walker to the land of wind and ghosts. In fact, he made him a ghost walker, if the Native Americans will permit my pun there. Yeah, that was just ridiculous. As soon as Hill walked, as soon as Walker walked in, I was like, "Oh shit! What the hell was I thinking when I did this?"
You weren't the only one. I saw that too, and I was like, "Oh god damn it!"
Legally binding and all that. I was like, "Oh my god."
That's fair. Legally binding.
Yeah, I think Lazy obviously made a load of good points about this on the preview show that we did for this, or for that fight. So as I said, it's in his glory, so I'll pass it over to Lazy right away.
Oh, boys. I tried to tell you. Just like you're saying, Mouse. I mean, as soon as he stepped in the fucking cage, you could just see it. I mean, if you had money on Johnny Walker, you had to be shaking in your boots. Oh, God. No special. You should have taken my advice on this one. Like I should have taken your advice earlier.
I know. I immediately thought of you when I saw him. Like, oh my god, he was right.
Yeah, what do you expect from Johnny, though? I mean, he's going to go out there, he's going to swing like crazy, and he's going to stand nice and tall and upright with that big old stupid chin high up in the air. It's a fucking guarantee anytime he fights. Ozdemir has pound for pound the fucking same arms as Artem Lobov, but I think they're like an anomaly of physics and human anatomy. Gives him some sort of increased power having those fucking tiny T-Rex arms. So Volkan, he's not going to beat most guys, but he's going to beat a guy like Walker every fucking time. Like, so the most perplexing thing to me coming into this was most the betting sites and shit had Johnny Walker as the favorite coming into this thing. So it's like, if you're a fucking sportsbook dude, you're giving away free fucking money. If you made a compilation of Johnny Walker being knocked out and left unconscious in the octagon, it would look like someone slipping on a banana peel and taking very comfortable naps.
It's funny I was going to ask that question. Because someone mentioned the Hill knockout of him, which is the one where he staggered backwards across the cage, wasn't it? And I was going to ask, we need a third one, just so I can make a short on it. It'd be fantastic.
If there's ever been a fucking guy who is like comic relief on a UFC card, it is definitely Johnny Walker. You're guaranteed fucking some firework moments there when he steps in there, whether it's win or lose. So, just I don't know what the fuck you guys were thinking, picking Johnny Walker coming in this, but good win for Volkan.
Yeah. Apparently, his win over Paul Craig must have impressed me or something.
But for me, my whole thing was he hadn't fought since his win over Bogdan Guskov, right? And that was over a year ago, was it? And I just kind of assumed, well, he's out of touch. He's not trying to knock people out. And since his last fight, he just kind of was using his gamesmanship as a light heavyweight veteran to get a submission over a guy who's probably not well rounded. Submissions in light heavyweight only come from Paul Craig apparently, but but no, like my thought process was I thought Johnny Walker was going to be like the Johnny Walker on his first run and imagine himself kind of like, all right, well, now who gives a fuck? I'm going to go out there and I'm just going to fucking be athletic and I'm just going to throw some wacky shit at him. Ozdemir's going to react and he's going to get caught. He's not too great with his distance management, so it's just interesting to see that the guy who was actually looking like their initial run in the UFC was Volkan Ozdemir, because that's what he looked like. He looked like, all right, I'm going to pressure. I'm going to go after you. I don't really have time to waste on this. I'm not going to go bother seeing the third round because I'm going to knock you the fuck out. Because that's what he does. He's got no time. He's got bills to pay apparently because he's got some legal fees. I don't know if he's still paying those off or not. So
I was just gonna say Johnny Walker, dude. He was fucking starched. Like if you go back and look at the pictures, look at his feet. His toes are curled.
yeah, this is a glorious picture.
So he was out already, and then he got that right hook. Oh, so that looks so bad.
Yeah, it was like a uppercut, right? It was like a shovel hook, and almost like a shovel hook or some shit. And then he just drops. He's like, he's dead, technically.
Yeah.
Like then he's like a dead Henderson effect. Instead of it being an elbow, it's just another right hand, and he's just like just completely like you almost looked at it as like, oh, I did I witness a murder?
Yeah, Sean Strickland,
Dude.
sitting there saying, "Drat, somebody else has killed the first man in the octagon."
Fucking love it.
Yeah, but again, that was it. It was only you that picked him, Lazy. So congratulations.
He's pulling my techniques now. I see what's happening here.
The underdog trend was strong. It's just not actually a shame because I would have hated it in some respects. But Ikram was the main event underdog, of course, and I had him. So be glad the streak broke there. We can do the crowd, or are there any other UFC fights you want to talk about?
Yeah, actually, yeah. I would like to get to this miscellaneous part because it's probably going to be my favorite part of the show, to be honest, or the part I've been waiting for the most. A couple of good fights outside of the UFC main card, and then a handful of great showings on events for other organizations. Quick shout out to Fakhretdinov and Dalby. That was a hell of a fucking scrap. 3 pretty fun rounds. Yeah, if you can get past Dalby hyperventilating the entire time, it's a fun fight to watch. Dude, I don't know why he breathes like that. Yeah, that breathing is so fucking weird. But yeah, I would like to point out that Fakhretdinov was wearing a cool little hat after the fight, so hats remain the favorite this year. Also, shout out to the featured prelim, Nasrat Haqparast versus Jared Gordon. Just a dogfight through and through. Absolute meat grinder of a matchup. As I said last night, despite losing, Jared Gordon proving once again that surviving a debilitating drug addiction is the best base for having that dog in your chest.
Yeah.
And then lastly, just to wrap up, a couple of quick props to some guys on the come up in Lazybed's Contender Series from the LFA show last night. First off, the thriller Ty Miller, young fella, 24 years old, born and fighting out of Albuquerque, New Mexico. He's a 6'2" welterweight, long and lanky, now 5-0. Had a beautiful 2-piece KO in the first round last night. Really fucking nice if you want to go back and check that out for any donks on Fight Pass. Next up, even younger dude. I'm fucking hyped about this guy. David Magoyan. He's a Russian-born fighting out of American Top Team who was actually brought into ATT by Arman Sarukian. So, he saw some fucking talent in this kid. Only 19 years old. 4-0 now. No amateur record whatsoever. Went straight to the pros. Got a gorgeous doctor stoppage win last night after slicing the ever-living fuck out of a guy with brutal elbows in the first round. Obviously, I've heard to gauge ceiling at his age and this point in his career, but fucking hell, I was goddamn impressed. And last up, from the main event, another Russian by the name of Azamat Bakoyev, also training out of ATT. Currently, their middleweight champ down in LFA, took on a tough-ass veteran last night, and apparently Mick Maynard had told Bakoyev prior to this fight that he needed a finish if he wanted to get called up to the UFC, and he absolutely fucking starched and creased the dude he was taking on with a vicious fucking right hook. Dude was out fucking cold. He's 18-3 now. He looks pretty damn good, and I wouldn't be surprised if he gets the call. So that's all I got. Sorry for going long.
No, you're good. Real quick, did we mention the Gastelum Daniel Rodriguez fight?
We did not yet.
Son of a bitch. Is it okay if I bring that up real quick?
Yeah, we got plenty of time.
All right. So here's my thing. Why Gastelum? What are we doing here, my guy? Like, I get it. You want to be a guy for the UFC. You want to be that dude that they could depend on a regular basis, and you have been since you started. Hell, you're a little older than me right now, and that's fine. I have nothing against your ability to fight. I have nothing against your willingness to fight for the UFC. Matter of fact, I think it's kind of admirable that you want to stay inside the UFC, considering you could probably get a higher paycheck outside of it. That's neither here nor there. I don't understand what you're trying to do with your weight. Because it confuses me. You seem to be the type of guy that wants to be a contender, but just not put the work to actually be a true contender, which is insane to me because you're the guy that took Izzy to a blistering fight that he almost lost via knockout once or twice in that whole crazy ass fight that you guys had, and that was the closest you have ever gotten to fighting for a title. And that was even for the regular title. That was for an interim title. So I feel I'm more disappointed, and I'm not going to agree with Dana White pretty much never on some of these things, but I will agree with him on this one individual situation where he just says, it's disappointing. He's not 35. He's not 38. He's 32. By this point, he should at least have an idea of what he's doing for his camps and how to make weight, regardless of what weight class it is. Now, he should probably be ideally a 175 pounder. He's not cutting too much weight to make 170, but he's not ballooning up in between fights to be, over, imagine he's not walking over 200 pounds or whatever, as DC was saying, or Michael Bisping during the commentary. Like, and they even were joking about the whole fact that Gastelum was just like, I don't want to do this anymore. Like, I just want to fight up. Is that okay? And Daniel Rodriguez, I would be pissed if I was him too, because he was. It's like, dude, I thought we were going to be professional and fight at 170. What the fuck? I had to make the weight cut earlier because I'm a bigger dude, but you just decided to give up because that's fair, right? No, if I was Daniel Rodriguez, I'd want. So he agreed to 185, and that was his choice. I would have told him, "Fuck you, make the weight. I'm making the weight. Why can't you?" But I'm more frustrated in the situation because I expect more from Kelvin Gastelum. He needs to fight at 185 or not fight at all inside the UFC. And if I'm PFL, I make a 175-pound division, 165-pound division, and I snag Kelvin Gastelum, pay him double what he's getting now to fight at 175. And if he can't make it, we cut him.
Fuck.
Fight overall, I'll say. Yeah. Sorry, my bad. The fight overall, fun fight. Just I'm more annoyed with it, and it kind of brings down the fight quality for me. That was all.
Yeah. That's pretty much exactly what I was going to say, and I'm going to agree with you. Like, highly unprofessional, very fucking inconsiderate. Like, you aren't some fucking rookie, Kelvin. You've been around the goddamn block a time or two. You've been in the UFC for a minute. This isn't new to you. This isn't some, endeavor you're just fucking stepping into. No, you're a fucking veteran of the game. You got two jobs, to quote Michael Bisping: make weight and show up in shape. You didn't do neither one of them fucking things last night. Neither fucking one. And I'm pretty sure, according to Daniel Rodriguez, they had 15 weeks notice to get ready for this fight. 15 fucking weeks, bro.
Full count?
Yeah. And from everything I heard, like, in the build-up to this fight, Gastelum was very nonchalant and cavalier about not making this weight and didn't seem to care whatsoever. Wasn't remorseful. He deflected the question in the post-fight speech when DC asked him in the octagon. I mean, and then begged for his job. Like, come on, Gastelum. Like, lost a lot of fucking respect for that dude last night.
Notice how DC tapped his hand away from the mic.
It did not.
I love that. Yeah, he was gonna try to grab the mic from DC, and DC's like, "No, you stop that."
I guess the one thing you can say about Kelvin, he did get 4 takedowns in that fight, and according to commentary, he hadn't had a takedown since 2021.
Yeah, I mean, that again tells you what this whole thing was. Is like, Kelvin is good. He's a good fighter. He won this fight. It's more like what What are we doing? Like, you could have done this to a middleweight, or you could have done this to a welterweight. You just didn't show up. What are we doing, my guy?
I bet it's pretty fucking easy to secure takedowns when you weigh an entire weight class above where you're supposed to be fighting.
It's got to help.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, it's funny. What was the meme behind this, that Kelvin Gastelum debuted a food channel before this?
About that, yeah. I did write down, should we call this Taco Gate?
Yeah, I'm okay with it, honestly.
Yeah, bit of a mess there from Kelvin.
Was there a fight of the night?
No, they awarded, I believe, 4 performance bonuses to all the finishes.
Yeah.
Lima too?
Yeah, Lima got one. Yep.
Nice to see submissions rewarded.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He actually might be the most worthy person on the card of a shout out, because he also was a short notice fill-in. Yep. Fought a tough guy.
Yeah, I guess.
Yep, got that finish.
It's a heavy favorite.
Yeah. Great showing.
Oh yeah.
I almost switched to him. Well, I didn't have to switch because I picked Bagdasarian for that fight originally. But yeah, absolutely no one had.
Yeah, I didn't even know that they had switched weight.
Yeah. I went with my favorite guru on that one, and he let me down again. Get out of the walking.
No, surprise.
He's not that bad generally.
His picks are terrible. Come on.
There is one thing about this. We can say the curse of the gloves has been broken. All it took was Walker's chin being on the offer.
I'd say that's an asterisk at best. That's an asterisk. Come on.
Yeah. Well,
you know what? I could say this about the 2 knockouts. One, they're both coming off of. One is a guy who's been knocked out ridiculously, and Volkan Oezdemir is a heavy-handed man to begin with. The other one is a man who was on the same kind of flight. Well, technically 3 knockouts, right, on the night, but like there's asterisks to all 3 of those knockouts. So to me, plus they all happen at a heavier weight class. I think the real test is when they come in at a smaller weight class. I would say we wait until that one.
That's fair.
Yeah, I saw a comment in the Discord that this Saudi crowd does not sound hype, and that was pretty much it for me. I think I didn't overly. We're going to get to score in this event soon, but it was one of the things that lowered the quality of the event for me. The crowd, it was just like an Apex an Apex fight, and actually less interactive with the crowd. They were very quiet, hardly shouted. If you shout Allahu oh God, my Allahu Akbar, the crowd will go wild, but otherwise, pretty much forget it. I guess they did give Robert Whittaker a bit of praise, but I've just heard Apex crowd that were louder, more enthusiastic. I think they were a part of me not enjoying the event as much as I probably should have. So yeah, I don't know who else wants to comment on that.
I'll let Lazy go.
My take on this was basically like, my take was I didn't have a huge take, because it's the first UFC event there. MMA virtually still new to that whole region. It's hot as fucking shit outside over there. You probably got tons of other things going on to do in a city that, rich and bustling. I wasn't blown away by the crowd by any means, but I wasn't necessarily expecting much. So it kind of just was what it was. I did hear though that they were pumping in sound into the arena, so that was pretty funny. The main thing I just wanted to say here was just a comment on the post-show address with Anik, Dana, and Turkey a la carte, as I like to call him. Basically, it's treating Dana like a prison bitch and saying, "Hold my pocket." Just everything Dana said, Turkey would one up and or clarify it further. Dana said that they would be back next year. Turkey said, "Yeah, you'll be back next year, first quarter." Dana said they'll be bringing Power Slap there next year. Turkey said, "Yeah, you're going to bring it here twice." he said he wants a bigger card next time around, likely a pay-per-view with women. He wants 30,000 people in attendance on the next one, not 15,000. And Dana just turned into a straight-up fucking yes man and was nodding and grinning, and you could see the dollar signs flashing in his head. So expect more Saudi events in the future.
You had said it, and I didn't believe you, but like I had tried to see there like some of the footage of it. Dana holding his hand and just looking like I can't say no to this man. God.
What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? That guy can fucking have your head on a platter in fucking 20 minutes flat.
Yeah. So you talk about buying and selling the UFC 10 times over, and then dismantling it and then putting it back together. Pretty much better if you really wanted to, and then also buying your family and selling it on the market. That's what he's got that fuck you money. What did we say earlier? He's got like that fuck you money. Dude, what are you gonna do? Fuck you.
I saw Conor McGregor. I think Conor McGregor was saying he was going to buy himself a new Bugatti or something for his birthday. And again, that's just like, congratulations. This is how a real rich guy does it. It's just scary that they have enough pocket change to buy something like the UFC. That is absolutely.
Oh yeah. They could just build a stadium in 1 week if they really wanted to. With liver. But they what is it? The crowd felt as if like an old Pride crowd, except they were just more disappointed that they didn't have the guys that they wanted. And I think that's half of where Turkey was talking to Dana. Is like, dude, we paid you for this card. Like, this is the best you can do. And not to say it like it wasn't a quality card, because it was a pretty decent card. My score will reflect that later in the show. But the concept of Riyadh, basically, Riyadh season going on and whatnot with boxing and all, and how they're looking to monopolize it. From what I can tell, they're basically paying all the top boxers that they can to show up over there, paying celebrities to show up at the events, pretty much to basically be courtside for this, as if this is a real event. Talk about sports washing and whatnot. The UFC does plenty its share, but I mean, these guys are trying to send another message out there that we are the place to go for combat sports. This had like what was it, the first round of the first fight of the night, where the guy missed the timer after the round was over, with the clapping, and you're like, what, who stopped the round? What happened? There's a couple of flubs here and there. It's going to happen. Like Lazy was saying, this is the first time they had an event there. We're used to Abu Dhabi and whatnot, right? And these guys are like, yeah, we're not this year too. Why not? I can foresee this is just kind of like the first time there. There's some, jitters. Once they get an actual flow, and they don't go there very often. Hell, when they go to Abu Dhabi, it's not all the time either. So this is just par for the course when you have, new layouts, new, productions issues to deal with. Not on top of it, it's a whole new region. They have to be the commission there. So they're playing it out. But I feel like they need to just make more trips over there, especially when you got guys like, Kamzat and Shara Bullet who can't even leave the goddamn region. If you're going to feature them, you need to give them more shows over there. And that's kind of the other thing. It is hilarious that they brought up Slap. Yeah, you're going to give me Slap 2 times over. Like, he knows it's bullshit that he's like, I'm not going to pay extra for it. You're going to give me more shows.
Hey, who knows? It might be popular in Saudi Arabia.
Oh yeah, maybe. Who knows?
One other thing to point out here, and actually I'm stealing this from Luke's live show after the event last night. Pretty peculiar. There wasn't any ads for alcohol on the Octagon or in any of the production. There wasn't any ads for gambling sites. There was no DraftKings stuff, and there was no condom ads.
Yeah, I know.
Religious zealotry at its best.
Typically, we would have Bud Light, Trojan, DraftKings. Nope, there wasn't none of that shit last night.
I didn't mind it, but I partake in drinking and have sex and other things. I don't know.
Them claiming they're going to become the new center for fighting sports. I don't think that's going to win it with the fans unless, they're just aiming it at the Muslim world, whatever. Because alcohol has got to be a big part in why people go to Las Vegas.
Yep.
Also,
I mean,
gambling.
that's why the crowds in fucking you would know this of all people, Dangermouse. That's why the crowds over there in the UK are so fucking good, and in Paris and shit like that.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
them people are fucking drinking. If you think they ain't drinking, you're out of your mind.
Yep.
Are you intoxicated? You better fucking believe it, pal.
Yeah, it's good times. Good times. They got to figure out a way to get the crowd more into it, and it's not even that it's hard to do. They just either you got to give them the guys that they want to go pay to see, and they paid to go see Robert Whittaker versus Khamzat. They got a mixture of that, and at least got Robert Whittaker, which they were supportive of. They were supportive of the guys who are like-minded and of the region, and they seem to cheer every time one of their guys won. And you just gotta play with it a little bit more, and it's just gonna take time. It's gonna take time. That's all.
Yeah. So what are our scores on this card? I'm gonna let one of my other co-hosts take this one away because I'm really not sure, and I'm probably going to cause a controversy when I speak what I say. What I think.
What do you want? You want to go first, Lazy?
I can't remember who went first last time, but yeah, sure, I'll go. Overall, with all the fucking shakeups and the shit that went down, and how unpredictable this event seemed to be, and damn near fucking cursed, really didn't turn out that bad. I didn't take away too much from the crowd. Like I said, I wasn't expecting a lot, so that doesn't exactly affect my score. It wasn't the funnest night of fights. There was a lot of decisions on the prelims. But all in all, it was a pretty good time. Happy for Bobby Knuckles. That's a feel-good moment. I did like seeing Johnny Walker laid out on the mat, and all he needed was a sleeping bag, and he was ready for a good night's rest. So, yeah, Lazybed's typical score is a 5. That's my average. So this one was above average for me. I have written down 6.5, but I think I'm going to go a little bit higher. I think I'm going to give this a 7.
Woohoo!
Oh no, Mouse is going to be contradictory to us. Yeah, I'm going to go with Lazy on this one. Like, what'd you say? You said a 6.7?
Initially, I was going to go 6.5, but I went 7.
Okay, I'm going to go 7.5 because majority of that score is Robert Whittaker showing up and doing the damn thing, because God bless Bobby Knuckles. He is the man of my heart, and the man I will always cheer for. Every time he wins, it's a great time. But honestly, yeah, I enjoyed majority of the fights. I didn't feel like it was dragging on, even though some of them went to decision. And honestly, there was a couple of fights that could have, gone a little differently. Scoring was a little wonky on some of them, but I can't complain. I enjoyed the card for what it was, and it's not a pay-per-view, so that's perfect. I didn't have to pay extra to watch this. This is not an Apex event. This is not a pay-per-view that's, skimmed down because the main event is going to cost more for the UFC for some reason. And this is perfect. This is ideally you want some more star power on some of these fight nights, but I have no issue with it because the guy I liked won and everybody else was doing great on, it was entertaining. It was entertaining. I can't complain. 7.5 for me.
Oh dear.
God damn it.
Yeah, I think I've made it fairly clear that this card didn't do very much for me. I love that Robert Whittaker got his KO. It was a fantastic finish to the card, but there was very little else that got me excited in watching. Johnny Walker getting KO'd was amusing just for the sheer agony it brought on me as it happened. And I didn't actually get to watch the prelims for this card because I had friends round and then they didn't leave until almost 7 or just a little after 7 in the evening. So I hopped on the card at about 7:30 UK time and watched it from there. And today I just was too tired. I couldn't be bothered to actually watch the prelims. I just watched the one with Herzog in with the fence grab. So as I said, I think I made it quite clear. The crowd didn't do much for me either. Made it just seem like a bland Apex event, and
Oh.
I guess I was distracted as well doing other stuff. Sorry, Austin, that's how I felt. So
Oh.
I am just gonna give this a God. How much can I hurt Austin with this one?
Oh, don't be like that. Just because my boy won and you chose against him, come on, give him credit.
That was just a meme pick. Like I said, I would have changed it, but I wanted to stick with the legally binding. You can feck right off the next time it happens. I was watching Wonder Boy dissecting that fight.
Oh,
My
wow.
God, what have I done? Why did I pick with this? What a stupid meme pick. So yeah, just because like I said, I haven't seen the undercard, so I can only judge it on the main card. And I think because of the picks I'd made, it soured my my main card because I got so many
Wow.
losses. So for me, a lot of it about the atmosphere, and much like all the members of the audience in Saudi Arabia, I did that one dry. I didn't have a drink. So
That's your problem. That's your
yeah,
problem.
most likely, yeah. I needed Wonder Boy Austin chugging beers like they were going out of fashion. So yeah, so fuck you, Austin, 5.5.
Oh. Oh. I mean, hey, at least you're giving it above 5. That's fine. I'll accept that. I'll accept that. Anything lower, I probably would have had a conniption. Jesus. 5 of 5. You know what? It's fine. It's fine. I'm not gonna. God damn it.
Revenge of the Mouse.
Ah,
All right.
yeah.
If I was wondering why I was specking this way, I made silly mistake of letting a couple of estate lads over here. I did a show on the internet, and I had to promise them that I'd let them listen to introduction. Now, don't forget to like and subscribe. Oh, and leave a bloody comment, will there? All right, that's it. It's ta-ra from me. And I suppose YouTube leaders will want to say their goodbyes as well, won't they? Well, get on with it, the nosy buggers.
See you later, motherfuckers.
Later. Later, guys.
Peace out, motherfuckers.
Yeah. Bobby Knuckles. Yeah.
Yeah, like and subscribe, everyone.
Let's do animal noises. Animal noises.
Too late, Craig's gone there. I heard the disconnect.
Oh. That's it. He's that's an accident. You go.
Oh no, he's not. Oh, he's back. He's back.
What's that?
Fuck you, Craig.
Fuck you, Craig.
Greg, fuck your whole ass and your whole life.
Thank you for being a friend.
And so successfully here tonight.
I want to have a meeting with him and the director Zack Snyder. He's a friend. We want to talk about doing big movie about the UFC, like a Cinderella Man, something like this. I will try to convince Zack Snyder. He liked the idea, and convince also Dana, and we will try to have it next year.
You guys have been beyond gracious as hosts. His Excellency CEO Dana White, thank you guys very much.
Thank you.
We're going to continue with the